Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and I have for you the Hiby R2 Generation 2 digital audio player, or DAP for short, for review today. Hiby reached out to me a little while ago and said, hey, do you want to start doing some reviews for us? I said, okay. And so this is the first thing that they sent me, their little entry-level digital audio player here. So they have asked nothing in return other than a fair and honest evaluation and a link to this video. And so that's what I will give them. So all the thoughts you're about to hear are mine and mine alone. So let's do shameless self-promotion, and then we will jump into this guy. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please remember to hit that like button, and if you haven't, please subscribe. Also, I have a Patreon set up so that you can help support me on a monthly basis, and I've set up a PayPal donation so that you can help me out in that way too if a monthly subscription does not make sense for you. Links for all of that, including the benefits, in the description below. Please check those out. All right, on with the show. A quick interlude for dad joke silliness here. Hiby, if you're going to release a product called the R2 and then bring out a Generation 2, instead of just calling it the R2 2, could you call it something like the R2 G2 for Generation 2, or the R2 V2 for version 2? I mean, come on, we audio people are just tremendously giant nerds, and we need this, okay? And if you change it to G or to V, you should steer clear of Disney's lawyers. Okay? All right. Just leaving that silliness out there. Come on, Hiby. We needed that. We needed that. All right. Moving on. All right. So $89 US for this. In a clip that's coming up, I do an overhead view and I do a unit tour, and I show how to navigate the menu and all of that. I think I say in there it's like a 99 or 100 US, kind of like that, but it's actually 89, so under 90, which just makes it all the more impressive what it's able to do, because I'm quite impressed with this little unit. It's got a ton of features on it. Like, it is a digital audio player. You can use the little micro SD card slot in here to handle up to 2 terabyte micro SD cards for a large library of music. So it's a digital audio player in that it will play your music files, okay, and then output it through this headphone output here. It can work as a USB DAC amp, so you can connect this to your smartphone or a tablet or a laptop, okay, computer and all of that, and it will be your sound, your takeover sound duties. It'll be your DAC, it can be your amplifier for that and all of that. It can also be a digital file transport. You can use the USB port here to output either via USB or use Hiby's USB-C to coaxial adapters in there to just play digital files bit perfectly to an outboard DAC from here. So there is a fair amount of flexibility with this device and what it is. Like it also handles like MQA, DSD, PCM files up to 32-bit, 384 kilohertz, like that sort of thing. It's got a fairly extensive features list, but then is also a bit stripped down in some features too. So I kind of explain all of that and more of what's going on with that in this overhead view. So let's cut to that, and then we'll come back on the other side and talk about sound. All right, quasi-overhead view of the Hiby R2ii, okay, and you might see some reflection in there. That's fun. All right, quick unit tour. So just real quick looking over the unit here just to see what it's like. We have this like 2.6 inch, I think they say, screen right here on the front panel. On this side we have the volume control knob, and then we have the transport functions for play, pause, and then like track forward, track back, you know, those kinds of things. We do have a microphone right here because this thing has a voice recorder app in it for reasons. Okay, and then here on the top we have like the power button and like the standby button there. On the bottom we have the 3.5 millimeter headphone output. This is a single-ended output. We have the USB-C connector here, and then we have the micro SD card slot and Hiby, however you want to say it. They spec the capacity here that it can handle up to 2 terabyte micro SD cards. I put a 512 megabyte in there, or excuse me, a 512 gigabyte in there, just to play around with this and all of that. Okay, info on the back panel, DSD, okay, all kinds of fun stuff there. And then, yeah, that is the build of the unit. This screen protector deal came pre-installed. There was another one in the packaging that was probably a little bit nicer, but you know what? This is, to me, like, you can see maybe in this lighting a little bit that like this screen protector is getting scratched up a little bit, so I would prefer it happen to that than the screen itself. Okay, but anyway, I just left that on there, and like the touch screen and all of that worked fine with that. Okay, this little case comes in the stock packaging. Okay, cutouts for the volume knob, transport controls, all of that. I did end up using this most of the time. It pops in there pretty well. It was a little bit of a challenge getting it back out to show you the device, but once it goes in there, I think you're pretty well going to want to leave it in there. All right, now let me power the unit on here real quick so we can see some things about it. Now, as this is booting up, it is worth repeating that this is basically a $100 US unit. It is entry level, so we need to grade everything on a curve. It has the Hiby OS, okay, their in-house basic operating system for DAPs. It is not Android based. I mean, it might be. The Hiby OS might be Android based, but it's not like a standard Android operating system that comes on a lot of more expensive DAPs. So what you're not going to see here, like scrolling, these are the, well, okay, there we can go to a play screen, but like these are the options, like scrolling up and down. There's nothing else to see here other than to pull down from the top and see like transport controls, okay, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, like all of that kind of stuff. All right. Anyway, I say all of that to say that there's no Play Store here. There's no Apple Store here. Like there's no way to install more apps. Okay, it's basically what you see is what you get. Here is their built-in like local file from the micro SD card playback system. Okay, playback app. And then, oops, going back, it's a small screen. You go to Stream Media, you see built-in apps for Tidal and Qobuz. No Spotify, no Amazon, okay, nothing like that. Okay, I do have a Qobuz account, so I use the Qobuz here. I am not a Tidal user. You can see the size of the screen. Sometimes maybe its accuracy is a little bit of an issue here. Okay, the other things here, like, yeah, again, for some reason there's a voice recorder on this thing. It can also be an ebook reader. Read a book on that. Go for it, okay? But I mean, it's there if you want it, okay? And then all of the system options, okay, are in here and all that. So that is a good segue here with the system options to talk about. This thing is a DAP, so it's a digital audio player. It is also a USB DAC. Okay, you can plug this into your computer or your smartphone or whatever via a USB connection, and it will become the DAC or the audio device for that other device and be a DAC amp if you want it to be. You can also just use it as a digital transport, and you can output either a USB digital audio signal, or you can get one of Hiby/Kayan's USB-C to coaxial adapter cables, which I have one of those around, and I tried that part of it into my Cord Hugo 2. Works fine, bit perfect output, all of that kind of stuff. It's nice. Okay, wake up. Okay, so I mean, you get a lot of functionality in this tiny little device. Okay, I mean, and it is tiny. Like, I do not have particularly large hands, but you can see that even in next to my hand, this thing is small. All right, what else do we have in here? Let me show you here. So navigating the tracks and all of that can be a little bit of an issue, because if you have a lot of tracks, and I put like over 4,000 songs on this thing just to like on that micro SD card that was in here in either FLAC or DSD, just to see like what it was like to use it and all of that. And like there's the scrolling here. Let's see how well this will show up. Yeah, here we go. The scrolling here can get a little bit like, you got to keep doing this if you want to keep going down, because you see these letters here at the side. You can't touch it. Like, let's jump down. Oh, it goes away. Let's jump down to W or whatever. Like, nope, that just selected the track that starts with an A, where I was just a moment ago. Come on, go back. Okay, so if you have a really big library, be prepared to do this a lot. And then, of course, yeah, accidentally click on some tracks there. So this is one of the sacrifices made, I think, because I have never been able to actually select one of those tiny little letters or numbers on the right to get it to navigate. And there's not like a little scroll tab thingy that you can grab and drag down either. So, I mean, yeah, be prepared to do this a lot and a lot and a lot if you want to navigate around on this thing. The other thing that I noticed here, text entry. So you think, well, okay, fine, I'll just do a search to find the music that I want to listen to and navigate there quicker. Let's search. Okay. I searched Uriah Heep because that started with a U, and it's like I got to get there faster. And then I kind of came here to click search, and it's like, we are back to like 2004 texting, right? Because we've got to cycle through the letters here. Like, let's see. Let's search ZZ Top. Okay, whoops, too far, and now I'm stuck on W. So, I mean, I was not a huge texter back in my college days in the early 2000s, but, like, you gotta, so yeah, I messed it up again. Anyway, it's this kind of text entry. Okay, now pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now space, and then T is this time the first one. You young kids will never understand this struggle. There it is. And now we search. Oh, come on. Didn't find it? Let's see if it's under artists. Hey, there it is. And then we have ZZ Top, okay? Right, like that sort of thing. So anyway, a couple of sacrifices made, of course, in terms of like the build and then, of course, the navigation and the features and all of that. It's a bit stripped down. You have to use Hiby's like internal music player app, which is functional. Like, it's fine. It's not as good as USB Audio Player Pro, but you shouldn't expect it to be. You can't put USB Audio Player Pro on here because I have not found a way to download any apps because I don't think you can. All of that. And then I should also mention that all of the memory is basically in the micro SD card. I could not find on the website for this thing, and I also plugged it into my Windows 10 PC via USB to like see if I could see how much internal memory is on this thing, and it wouldn't tell me. So I think there's really only enough internal memory in here to handle basic operations, and so you're pretty much going to need to get a micro SD card to put in there. But again, none of that really should be surprising since it's basically just a $100 entry-level DAP. All right, so I think that's build, features, operation, all of that enough. Let's go back to me on camera and we will talk about sound. All right, so sound and like using it and sound and all of that. So I tested this with a few different headphones, full-size headphones, and IEMs. So on the high end, I tried the Hi-Fi-Man Svenar IEM on this thing. I tried the Focal Radiance closed back full-size headphone on this one. I did the TRN Rosefinch IEM on this a little bit. And let's see, the Erzatich Thalia, is it Thalia or Talia? I don't know. Portable headphone. Okay, use that on here. And those would be the things that got the most time as I listened to this. A couple of other things just here and there just to check. But those were the ones that I did most of the critical listening with. Okay, and for those that I have reviews of, I will put links to down below for that. So let me talk about battery life on this real quick. This one, it doesn't have spectacular battery life from my experience here, particularly if you're going to drive full-size headphones. Like, it drove the Focal Radiance fine. Like, it sounded decently well with, you know, good amount of punch and control and that sort of thing. But it drained the battery pretty quick to do that. Like, in about an hour listening session, it sacrificed about 20% of the battery life to my recollection, so that does drain it pretty quick if you're going to use a load that's more difficult for it like that. If you use a highly efficient IEM, you're going to greatly extend the battery life on this thing. Okay, so just keep that in mind if that applies to you. So that also like talks about its power output decently there. Like it can handle some more efficient full-size headphones. The Focal Radiance did not sound like they were underpowered to me. They had nice punch to them. They sounded nice and full and complete and that sort of thing on them. The Erzatich Thalia is pretty efficient, and that sounded pretty good on here too. So I mean, for full-size headphones, the Thalia is not quite full-size, but it's getting up there. It does have the power. You're just going to sacrifice battery life to be able to drive those things. Okay, now getting to the sound quality here. I mean, again, grading everything on the $90 curve, okay, it sounds really good. I was quite impressed with the quality of the sound that came out. Like the level of control that it exhibited over that Focal Radiance or the Hi-Fi-Mins Venar, and just was the detail extraction that those devices, those listening devices still had on this device was quite surprising to me on there. Now, the sound profile here, there is an ESS DAC chip in here. I forget the name, but you can look at it on the website that I link to down below. Okay, and there is a little bit of that kind of digital glare to the sound going on here. It's not horrible. I didn't find it particularly fatiguing, but it is there. It's kind of stereotypical of that older stereotypical ESS sound, where it just was a little bit like aggressive and harsh, particularly in the upper mids, and that comes through a little bit here in this sound. But that is my biggest complaint, and it's really not a huge problem. For a $90 product that is a DAP, a DAC amp, a transport, and all of those other things, like this thing sounds pretty darn good and is a tremendous sonic value, I think. Okay, I don't think that I need to say a whole lot more beyond what I have said about that here, other than that this is a really good starting point in getting into like audiophile grade OTG use kind of stuff. Okay, so I will leave it there. I am Wave Theory. This has been my review of the Hiby R2ii. Again with the name R2G2 or R2V2, please. Anyway, okay. Good job. I look forward to hopefully reviewing more of Hiby's DAPs. I have reviewed, I think it was their RS6 or was the RS8, one of those two, which I will put a link to down below, which is a much higher end model. So I know that they make good stuff. My KN N6 Mark II DAP is built on a Hiby. So I know that they make good stuff. I hope that they keep sending me things because I'm excited about what they're doing. All right. So please like this video if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Check out my PayPal. Check out my Patreon. See how you can support the channel. And as always, thanks for watching and enjoy the music.